Final Major Project by Cameron Miles. If you had asked me a year ago what I knew about accessibility, I would have told you that I knew what it was, but it's something I've never really paid attention to. This is something that a lot of people can relate to. It wasn't until completing work experience within the industry that I understood just how important it is to make your website and other digital services accessible. Accessibility in digital terms is the inclusive practice of ensuring that there are no barriers that prevent interaction with or access to websites. This is inclusive to those with disabilities and impairments. For example, how are those with low vision supposed to perceive the information on your website? That's where the Web Content Accessibility Guidelines, often abbreviated to WCAG, comes in. The WCAG is an international standard of guidelines that have been published as recommendations to making your website accessible. The guidelines are built upon the foundations of being perceivable, operable, understandable, and robust. There are 3 criteria levels within the WCAG, going from level A, which is the bare minimum of the WCAG guidelines, followed by double A, which has more criteria for the developer to meet and is deemed as the level that all websites should comply to. And finally, level AAA, which is the highest level of accessibility within the WCAG, but is also difficult to meet. With there being guidelines and recommendations in place for accessible websites, I arrived at the question, is the internet an accessible place for those with disabilities and impairments? Unfortunately, the answer is no. In 2022, WebAIM released a report based on the accessibility of homepages for the top 1 million websites. Of those 1 million homepages, 97% had at least one detectable WCAG2 failure, with the most common failure being something as simple as low contrast text. But what are the causes of websites being inaccessible? After going through thorough research and having conversations with creative directors within the design industry, the cause of inaccessibility that stood out was a lack of knowledge and awareness regarding accessibility, especially within young and inexperienced designers, which inspired the focal point of this major project called Aducation. Aducation is a service that aims to provide users with the foundational knowledge needed to start making their digital services more accessible. The service provides the user with an engaging learning experience through information sheets, interactive tasks, and quizzes to increase memory retention. The primary target audience of the service is design students and recent graduates. The name is a blend of the words accessibility and education, which are the main focal points of the service. The logo symbol is made up of computer screens as it teaches the user about digital topics. Additionally, the screen has been repeated 3 times as representation of the 3 WCAG criteria levels. The chosen typeface for the service is Atkinson Hyperlegible. It is an accessible typeface that has been designed with a focus on letterform distinction to increase character recognition, which ultimately improves readability. The user interface of the Aducation website has been designed to conform to the WCAG guidelines, such as ensuring that the color contrast of all elements conform to the level AA of the criteria. The composition and layout of the site has been kept simple to limit any distractions for the user so that their focus can be on the content, and also to create a consistent user experience. The user is able to track their learning progress, allowing them to see what topics they've previously completed. Here is an example run-through of the color contrast topic. The information sheet provides them with foundational knowledge regarding what the guidelines for color contrast are and how to apply them. The Be Bold, Daring, and Accessible page is important as it shows the user ways in which they can still express their creativity whilst being accessible. One of the interactive tasks that would be completed by the user is to drag the color sliders to the point where the contrast ratio abides by WCAG standards. A targeted YouTube ad has been created to reach the target audience. The ad would appear for those who search for design-related content. The ad shows the user ways of being bold and expressive whilst conforming to guidelines, as well as a snippet of what the Aducation service offers. The size of the advert has also been altered for usage on Instagram. The website has also been designed for usage on phone and tablets by altering the composition to fit narrower devices.